Good morning, everyone. I'm here at Zero Hedge, and I found this rather troubling article. I think it was by Tyler Durden. Yep. Mysterious germ deemed an urgent threat is quietly sweeping the globe. I'm going to get into why it's troubling to me after we get some of the facts here, if you want to call them that. Thanks to overprescription of antimicrobial drugs and the use of antifungicides in crop production, a relatively new germ that preys on people with weakened immune systems is rapidly spreading across the globe, according to the New York Times. And that's why I said if you want to call them facts. The infection, a fungus known as Candida auris, kills almost half of all patients who contract it within 90 days, according to the CDC, as it's impervious to most major antifungal medications. First described in 2009 after a 70-year-old Japanese woman showed up at a Tokyo hospital with C. auris in her ear canal. The aggressive yeast infection has spread across Asia and Europe, arriving in the U.S. by 2016. The earliest known case in the United States involved a woman who arrived at a New York hospital on May 6, 2013. See, there's a problem with the facts right there. First they say it arrived by 2016, then the very next paragraph down it's 2013. Just wanted to point that out to you. I'll start over. The earliest known case in the United States involved a woman who arrived at a New York hospital on May 6, 2013, seeking care for respiratory failure. She was 61 years old and from the United Arab Emirates, and she died a week later after testing positive for the fungus. At the same time, the hospital hadn't thought much of it, but 3 years later it sent the case to the CDC after reading the agency's June 2016 advisory. Okay, apparently these are the states so far that have had cases. Luckily for me, and most of the country, it's not widespread yet, but California, no surprise there, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Virginia, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and so on, most of the East Coast had probable cases. It is a creature from the Black Lagoon, said the CDC's Dr. Tom Chiller, who heads the fungal branch. It bubbled up and now it is everywhere. In the last 5 years alone, it has swept through a hospital in Spain, hit a neonatal unit in Venezuela, spread throughout India, Pakistan, and South Africa, and forced a prestigious British medical center to close its ICU for nearly 2 weeks. By the end of June 2016, a scientific paper reported an ongoing outbreak of 50 C. auris cases. 50 of the cases at the Royal Brompton, and the hospital took an extraordinary step. It shut down its ICU for 11 days, moving intensive care patients to another floor, again with no announcement. Days later, the hospital finally acknowledged to a newspaper that it had a problem. A headline in the Daily Telegraph warned, "Intensive care unit closed after deadly new superbug emerges in the UK." Later research said there were eventually 72 total cases, though some patients were only carriers and not infected by the fungus. After C. auris reached New York, New Jersey, and Illinois, the CDC added it to the list of germs deemed urgent threats. Last May, an elderly man who was admitted to the Brooklyn branch of Mount Sinai Hospital for abdominal surgery was found to be infected with the drug-resistant Candida, if that's even how you pronounce it. He died after 90 days in the hospital. However, C. auris did not, according to the tests, the germ did not kill him. I'm not sure what they're implying here. I'm going to try to do this again. Last May, an elderly man was admitted to the Brooklyn branch of Mount Sinai Hospital for abdominal surgery. Was found to be infected with the drug-resistant C. auris. He died after 90 days in the hospital. Oh, okay. However, the fungus did not die. According to tests, the germ was everywhere in his room, to such a degree that the hospital required special cleaning equipment and had to rip out ceiling and floor tiles just to get rid of it. In quotes, everything was positive. The walls, the bed, the doors, the curtains, the phones, the sink, the whiteboard, the poles, the pump, said hospital president Dr. Scott Joran. In quotes again, the mattress, the bed rails, the canister holes, everything. The reason this is happening is because fungus or fungi are evolving to defend against our modern medicines. It's an enormous problem, said Imperial College of London fungal epidemiology professor Matthew Fisher, who co-authored a recent scientific review on the rise of resistant fungi. In quotes, we depend on being able to treat those patients with antifungals. The CDC investigators theorized that C. auris started in Asia and spread across the globe. But when the agency compared the entire genome of auris samples from India and Pakistan, Venezuela, South Africa, and Japan, it found that its origins was not a single place, and there was not a single auris strain, meaning that if they were to have to create a vaccine, they wouldn't know which vaccine to use. I don't need to read the rest of the article to you. It's on Zero Hedge. Right now it's the top article, or top 5. Now, the problem with believing this article. Our government, along with probably every other government out there, probably, has a history of experimenting on their own people. They also have a history of creating bugs, like Lyme's disease, probably AIDS, and maybe cancer. they have a history of playing with these things and never ever considering the consequences of their actions. For all we know, instead of this, what is it called? Auris? C. auris? Evolving on its own to gain a defense mechanism from our modern fungicides or antifungal medicines. Instead of that being the case, why couldn't it be the case that it was genetically modified? I mean, according to evolutionists, it takes thousands and thousands and thousands, if not millions of years, for evolution to occur. It makes more sense to me that that this is an intentional bug, an intentional fungus that was genetically modified. And this is just my theory. I don't know. I wasn't there. But considering the history of our government and others, considering our ruling classes want to depopulate, considering other factors, it would be logical that this is the case. Do I know for sure? No. Again, I wasn't there. The genome sequencing showed that there were 4 distinctive versions of the fungus, with differences so profound that they suggested that these strains were diverged thousands of years ago and emerged as resistant pathogens from harmless environmental strains in 4 different places at the same time. Come on. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Especially at the same time. Somehow, it made a jump almost seemingly simultaneously and seemed to spread, and it is drug resistant. If it got spread simultaneously, then it was purposefully done. In just this one article that I come across, there's already things that don't make sense about this. Pretty well. And this is something that you should probably be concerned about. If you have a compromised immune system, you should probably think about doing something about it. Because this is going to spread. I mean, it's already spreading quickly. Now, last summer, you might recall, some of my older subscribers, that I got some weird infection. And it was the most unpleasant thing I've ever experienced. And keep in mind, I've seen many instances of violence in my life. And this infection that I had was the most unpleasant thing I've ever gone through. I've been to jail. I've been put through the ringer as a human being. And this bug that I got made me wish I was fucking dead. And I'm not even kidding. And, you know, I'm not even sure that it's gone. It may be this Candid or C. auris shit here. I don't know. I can't afford to go see a what do you call those doctors that take the skin tests dermatologist. I just love those commercials. Go see your dermatologist, as if everybody just has a dermatologist on their speed dial, right? I'm going to hit these last two or three little paragraphs here, and because it looks like it's pretty important. So this doctor here, Dr. Rhodes, received a panic call from the Royal Brompton Hospital Medical Research Centre outside of London, where C. auris had taken root months earlier. The hospital had no idea how to get rid of it. We have no idea where it's coming from. We've never heard of it. It's just spread like wildfire, Rhodes was told, before she helped them clean it up. Under her direction, hospital workers used a special aerosol device to spray hydrogen peroxide around the room, which housed a patient with the germ, with the theory being that the vapor would permeate the entire room. After 1 week of saturating the room, they put a settle plate in the middle of it with a gel at the bottom, and this would allow any remaining microbes to grow. Only one grew back, C. auris, and officials were scrambling to keep a lid on it. So even after this treatment of hydrogen peroxide vapor, the only microbe that grew back in a culture is C. auris, the fungus that is spreading all over the fucking place. It was spreading, but a word of it was not. The hospital, a specialty lung and heart center that draws wealthy patients from the Middle East and around Europe, alerted the British government and told infected patients, but made no public announcement. Why wouldn't they make a public announcement about it? If they care, if they give a shit. There was no need to put out a news release during the outbreak, said Oliver Wilkinson, a spokesman for the hospital. This hushed panic is playing out in hospitals around the world. Individual institutions and national, state, and local governments have been reluctant to publicize outbreaks of resistant infections, arguing there is no point in scaring patients or prospective ones. So they're not even warning people before they go into these facilities that there's a possibility that this shit is spreading in these facilities and you're going to contract it. And by the way, it's fatal. I don't recall what if they even said what the fatality rate was, but I know that a lot of people dies from it. He died after 90 days. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Okay, here it is. Kills almost half of all patients who contract it within 90 days. So, be wary. Be wary. And if you have a compromised immune system, should probably start taking high dosages of vitamin C. Among other things. Anyway, you have to wonder if this wasn't engineered. There's already a lot of discrepancies just in this one article, and I would imagine if I were to go through multiple articles, I would find many more discrepancies. There's one more here, one more paragraph, because it looks like it's important too. And while the Brompton Hospital case did not make headlines, the issue remained largely out of the spotlight internationally, despite an even larger outbreak in Valencia, Spain, occurring at virtually the same time at the 992-bed hospital. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Unknown to the public or unaffected patients, 372 people had become colonized with the germ, meaning it was on their bodies, but they had not yet contracted it. Of those, 85 patients developed bloodstream infections, and 41 of them died within 30 days. Sounds like a really, really nifty culling tool. It really does. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Thank you to my new subscribers. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up, maybe a share. PayPal link in the description box below. Till next time, kill the state before the state kills you with genetically engineered diseases.